Have you ever stopped to think about who really sees your personal information, especially the sensitive stuff?
It's a big question today, for sure.
Imagine, like, millions of health records, names, addresses, social security numbers, even immigration status suddenly moving from a health agency over to, well, an enforcement agency.
Right. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. It's this urgent legal battle happening right now.
A real showdown over sensitive health data and government sharing.
Precisely. We're looking at how 20 states are actually suing the former Trump administration.
20 states. Wow.
Yeah, over a really significant transfer of Medicaid data. So our mission really is to unpack the what, the why, and, what might happen next in this privacy fight for you.
Okay, let's dive in. The main event here. Reportedly, back in June 2025, the Department of Health and Human Services, HHS, they transferred this, enormous data set of Medicaid info. And the really sensitive part, the part that raises eyebrows, it wasn't just basic contact info. We're talking names, addresses, sure, but also social security numbers, immigration status, detailed health claims.
Extremely sensitive data points.
For millions of people, right, in states like California, Illinois, Washington State, D.C.
Exactly. And here's a critical piece of context. This transfer apparently went ahead even though officials inside CMS, the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services,
The agency that oversees Medicaid.
right, they apparently warned that doing this could violate federal law.
Which laws specifically?
Well, they flagged the Social Security Act, which has strict rules for Medicaid data, also the Privacy Act, limiting how agencies share data, and crucially, HIPAA.
IPA, okay. The big health privacy law everyone knows. So even internally, there were red flags.
Apparently so, which really underscores why these states are suing. They're arguing this wasn't just an administrative error.
They're calling it a breach of federal privacy laws, right? Including IPA and something called the Administrative Procedure Act.
That's the core argument. The APA basically says agencies have to follow proper procedures, and the lawsuit demands some pretty strong actions.
Like what exactly?
Well, first, they want an immediate stop to any more data sharing, like right now.
Okay, makes sense.
Second, a gag order on the Department of Homeland Security that includes ICE, preventing them from using this data for, say, immigration enforcement.
So stop them from using what they already have.
Precisely. And third, they want the court to impound, basically seize and hold, and then destroy all the data that's already been shared.
Seize and destroy, that's quite comprehensive. It sounds like they're trying to completely undo the transfer.
It's very comprehensive. They're trying to protect the individuals whose data was shared.
And this brings up a really human concern. California's Attorney General, Rob Bonta, he warned this could frighten non-citizens away from getting necessary medical care.
Yeah, creating a chilling effect, as he put it.
Which could risk public health for everyone, not just those individuals.
Absolutely. And if you look at the bigger picture, critics are saying this action, it breaks decades of established norms. Medicaid data was traditionally just for healthcare administration, not for this.
But the administration, they had a stated reason, didn't they?
They did. The stated aim was to use the data to make sure benefits only went to people who were lawfully entitled to receive them.
Okay, so an accountability argument.
Right. But the critics argue that the method transferring this highly sensitive health and immigration data, potentially against existing laws, that's the issue. It erodes trust.
It's that classic tension between the goal and the means used to achieve it.
Exactly. This isn't just about one specific data set. It's about precedent. How can government agencies share data moving forward?
So who are the key players leading this lawsuit? We mentioned 20 states.
Yeah, it's a big coalition, spearheaded by AGs like Rob Bonta in California, Nick Brown in Washington, Dan Rayfield in Oregon.
And others like Arizona, Connecticut, Illinois, New York are involved too.
That's right. A total of 20 states are plaintiffs.
And where does the case stand now?
It's filed in the Northern District of California. And the immediate focus for the states, the next step, is pushing for that preliminary injunction.
A temporary court order.
Exactly. To block any more sharing and force DHS to destroy the data they have while the main case proceeds. It's about preventing immediate harm.
So a lot hinges on that initial court decision.
Definitely. And it raises that bigger question, what kind of precedent does this set for how government agencies share data in the future? How are privacy norms going to evolve or be protected?
This whole situation, this deep dive, it really lays bare that tricky intersection, doesn't it? Between health policy, your personal privacy, and the government's authority.
It does.
It makes you think about that balance, how useful data can be versus our fundamental rights to keep sensitive information private, especially health information.
Right. And maybe the thought to leave you with is this.
Right.
In a world that's just getting more and more data-driven,
Mm.
how do we as individuals, as a society, make sure the safeguards we think protect our most sensitive information? How do we ensure they actually hold up, that they truly endure?